But it is interesting in the context of Saudi Arabia beginning to look east for capital, for liquidity flows. And one of the recent phenomena that we've witnessed the last couple of years is this warming of relations between Saudi Arabia and China. What do you think is driving that?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And in fact, the theme of this event, the Capital Markets Forum, is powering connections. And we've seen, the co-hosts of the Tadawul Group as well as Hong Kong Exchange talk about the opportunities here. What's driving it, you ask? Well, for Hong Kong, for one thing, and from a capital markets perspective, this has been an IPO market that's been depressed for 2 years. And so they need new listings. They need a new investor base to help offset some of the EU and US funds that have basically abandoned this market after 2 years of isolation, whether it's because of COVID curbs or because of these geopolitical tensions that linger still. And it's a win for the Saudis as well. I mean, they talk about how they want to be able to gain more exposure to an Asia investor base. And we heard from the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself in his vision of 2030, highlighting why he's working on getting more foreign ownership of publicly traded Saudi stocks. We talked to Al Rumai there, and he says, look, foreign ownership has surged really since 2019. But if you take a look at maybe a percentage of that to the free float of shares, that's still below and low down this year. And if you take a look at overall, some of these EM funds are still underweight Saudi stocks. So certainly there's still a long way to go, says Al Rumai.
Yeah, and gaining access to those international markets is one way to get access to that liquidity and capital, as you talk about. But let me just ask you specifically about the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, because the IPO market there has been sort of subdued the last couple of years. What are people saying about the outlook for this coming year?
Yeah, well, I did speak with the Hong Kong Exchange CEO, Bonnie Chan. She just took the top job back in March, and she was the former head of listings here as well as the co-COO. And she was very optimistic, it seemed, about these new blockbuster names coming to this market to list maybe this year. What's really driving that, she says, is because of what she's heard in the last few weeks. Just last month, we heard from the China Securities Regulator, the CSRC, announcing these support measures for the IPO market, in particular encouraging top leading names to list here in the city. And since then, she says she's been fielding a lot of calls and inquiries. Take a listen.
The 100 companies or applicants in the pipeline already. And I think with the latest measure, and really that excitement and a lot of proactiveness in terms of reaching out to us, I can really only see that building up. So for us, obviously we need the market conditions to also be a lot more conducive to getting the IPOs done. But I think what we've seen lately, especially the last 2 weeks of April, is giving us a lot of hope.
So is it going to be those big names like Didi and Financial of Alibaba, or even Saudi Aramco, that second listing? It remains to be seen, but Bonnie did talk about it's not just the Aramco buzz, but really they're hoping other Gulf companies can consider listing here in the city as well.